It took the Israeli Secret Service 4 years to get their hands on the Jewish Underground, a right-wing terrorist organisation. The group is responsible for carrying out several successful attacks on Muslims in the early 1980s, but then their mission turned far more sinister, hatching a plan to destroy the Dome of the Rock. Now, according to former agents of the Shin Bet, if they'd succeeded, it could have sparked nuclear war in the Middle East, perhaps, they say, even a new world war. A new documentary looks into where these men are now. The answer? Some members of the Jewish Underground, long free from prison, are now in positions of power in the Israeli parliament. Here's a bit of the film.
בלימוד תיאורטי של הבניין, של חומרי הבנייה, של המידות המדויקות. כדי לדעת, כפי שאומרים החבלנים, כמה חומר הוא מבקש. ההסכמה שהייתה בתוך החבורה, שאנחנו נכין תוכנית ואמצעים שהיא תהיה בת הפעלה כאשר יוכשרו התנאים לכך.
איך משיגים חומר נפץ בכמות שאתם צריכים?
אנחנו לקחנו אותו מצבא הגנה לישראל.
עכשיו, הרעיון היה להכניס את כל החומר נפץ הזה, הפלסטי, לתוך המכלי פיצוץ, להצמיד אותם לחלק מהעומלות והעמודים, כדי לגרום לכיפה לקרוס פנימה. אסור לעשות פיצוץ נפח, כלומר, להעיף את הכיפה ככה, ושאז זה אומר שיהודים שנמצאים בכותל המערבי, יפלו עליהם פתאום אבנים מהשמיים ועלולים למות.
עכשיו תאר לעצמך שכיפת הסלע נופלת. מעשי היהודים. כל העולם המוסלמי עולה עלינו. מלחמת גוג ומגוג.
And director of the Jewish Underground, Shai joins me in studio. Shai, you interviewed the full gamut, security forces that arrested the Jewish Underground, the law enforcement that tried them, as well as the men that sought to carry out this explosive attack. What was your biggest take-home in interviewing all of these kinds of people?
Well, you know, it was a long journey. It started off just when I actually, you know, I'm doing journalism in Israel for like 15 years, and I knew about the Jewish Underground, but I never really got the picture. And then when I started checking in this story, the first thing I realized is that the people who are involved from both sides, like you said, the people of the law of the Shin Bet, two of them became the head of the Shin Bet. The prosecutor became the, she was the Supreme Court, was in charge of the Supreme Court. Then the underground people. I mean, look at what we're probably going to talk about, where they are now. And I think one of the things I realized in the beginning that usually when you talk about, you know, Jewish terrorists, you say they come from the side of the society, they are, you know, outlaws. But these guys came from the heart of the settlement movement. Mm-hmm. And they were religious Zionists. Mm-hmm. One of them was a deputy battalion commander. Another one was an Air Force pilot. Another one was a journalist. Another one was a mayor of a small settlement or a vice mayor. I mean, right. They came from the mainstream, and when I looked at this team, I said, okay, there's something bigger here, and that's when I started digging in to the story. Because
blowing up the Golden Dome was a plan, which they obviously didn't succeed in doing, but they succeeded in other attacks. Talk us through those that were quite disturbing.
Okay, so it's like you said, it started at the end of the 70s when they a bunch of people meeting up in a yeshiva in Jerusalem talking about they should take off the Dome of the Rock because we need to gain back control over Temple Mount, and then later on we can build the Jewish temple which stood there 2,000 years ago. And while they are preparing to do it, and like you saw in the beginning, it's a very, you know, impressive plan. Mm-hmm. There is an attack against Jews in Hebron, killing 6 Jews, terrorist attack by Palestinians, and they are saying we need to revenge. Who's going to do it?
So who did they attack?
The first action was planting bombs at Palestinian mayor cars. 2 of them got their leg chopped off. Another IDF who came to actually dismantle a bomb. Right. Lost his vision.
Lost his eyesight. Now, you also asked them what kind of a mind one needs to have to plan to hurt someone. Let's take a listen to what they said.
Okay.
אתה יודע שאם חס ושלום תתאפס, אז יש לזה מחיר.
ואתה היית מוכן לשלם אותו?
ומה זאת אומרת, אנחנו לא סוממנו לפני כן. בדעה צלולה לגמרי.
כמה קשה לבן אדם לחצות את הקו ולהגיד, אני הולך לעשות פעולה נגד החוק?
זה החלטה כמו שאתה עושה באוטו, ואתה עוקף מישהו לצורך העניין, או לא יודע מה, אתה עושה שהיא... אתה עברת על החוק, נו, אז מה, אתה מהרהר יותר מדי?
Right, now these men ended up in jail. They're long out of prison. Where are they now?
So actually, they were sent to jail for many years. 3 of them actually got life. But then, you know, the Israel's country decided to set them free, actually, the Israeli president, and they were gone after 7 years.
Wow.
All of them were out. And when you follow where they're now, so one of them is a newspaper editor in Israel. Another one is working for the Bayit Yehudi party and is a top advisor to one of Israel Minister Uri Ariel. A third one is maybe the strongest person in the settlement movement. His name is Zambish, and he has full access to Prime Minister office. I mean, they totally gone, some of them at least, gone into the heart of the corridors of power of Israel surrounding the current parliament. And I think that's part of the story. Another part is the ideas that were, you know, at the beginning of the 80s were extreme. They are now gone mainstream as well.
So what was it like as an Israeli to make such, I suppose you could call it in a country like this, an inflammatory film? Was there any kind of internal conflict?
There's always a conflict, but at the same time there isn't a conflict because, you know, I come from journalism and, you know, I want to tell the story. And once the story is right, so here are the facts, whether you like it or not. I mean, some people will watch the film and say, you know, hey, that's great. I mean, we had these people, they were at the edges of society, the ideas, but now they are mainstream, that's a good thing. Another one, if you're from the left side, you'll probably say that's terrible, you know, and that's what I was trying to say in this film. I want them to talk. I want the people who watch it to actually realize and understand, and I think you get an unbelievable level of honesty from both of the side, and they actually tell their minds, and that's what I want viewers to see and decide to themselves.
Well, now, Israelis are, of course, aware of the nuance of a film like this. People in the international community might not be so aware of not only the internal politics, but the internal religious beliefs of the right and the left and the different groups that make up those.
Right.
So what are you hoping that people in an international audience take away from a film like this?
First of all, I must say that I'm not sure that Israelis actually get that, because most of Israelis saying, hey, there was something with the Jewish underground that happened in the 80s, we don't know the full picture. Once you saw the series and the film, so people are actually telling me, hey, you know, even people who are deeply in politics are saying, I never got the full picture. I never got to see what these guys did, where are they now? And when you look at the world perspective, when we showed the film at maybe the most important international film festival in Amsterdam, so the manager told me, this is not an Israeli film. This is a film of a world phenomenon happening now about extreme ideas who find their way into mainstream. And that's happening all over the world. In Austria, in the Netherlands, in Germany, the US. So I think maybe that's the way you should look at this film.
And in terms of the reactions that were even heard from some of the people that you interviewed, let's hear from one of the investigators who, as you said, later became the head of the Shin Bet, about the moment that he recognised one of the members of the Jewish underground in Parliament. Here's that.
והסתכל עליי, ואני הסתכלתי עליו, והוא נראה לי מוכר, והוא חייך, ושאלתי אותו למה אתה מחייך, הוא אומר, פעם האחרונה שנפגשנו, היה במגרש הרוסים, בית הכלא. אני אומר לו, באיזה עניין? הוא אומר לי, בגלל המחתרת היהודית. רגע מפתיע, רגע כזה של שוק.
ברור לי שחברים בוועדה הזאת, הערבים, זיהו את זה, שאלו אותי אם זה אני. ידעתי שזה לא קל להם. אבל זה לא הפריע לי להשתתף שם בישיבות ובהצבעות.
Well, Shai, it's an incredibly compelling film. Of course, it makes everybody sit and take stock and think about a region that the whole world seems to talk about very often.
Just imagine this moment,
right.
Okay? I mean, someone who was the head of the Shin Bet, sitting in his office in the Israeli parliament, and then he said, you look familiar. All right, I knew you for 30 years ago from the Jewish underground. Now you're an advisor to a minister.
Right, and nothing you can do.
That's the story.
Wow. Shai,
watch it.
Thank you. We will. Well, I have. I'm sure people will.